Go on in. Wait there a minute. Go on in. Go on in. Good boy. Come on in. So, welcome to my channel and welcome to my first ever video. On my channel it's called Mind, Body and Whole. I've been putting off doing this video for the last about 5 years. And the reason being, I just didn't think I had the know-how, I didn't think the channel was ready, it wasn't as polished as some of the channels I watch. But honestly, another 5 years could go by before I find time to do all that. So I woke up yesterday and I thought, today's the day, I'm going to do it. So here we are. Welcome to my channel and the first ever video. Now, let me introduce the channel. So where does the name come from? The name is Mind, Body and Whole, which is a play on words of mind, body and soul. So it's what I believe to be the 3 cornerstones of health and well-being. The mind being at the forefront, it should be healthy, happy, should have stress-free thoughts, and then you have the body, which should be flexible, strong, conditioned, and healthy, and then you have whole, which represents whole foods. So whether you follow a vegan diet, a vegetarian diet, or any other diet, whether it have meat or not, then a whole foods diet, predominantly containing varied unprocessed plants, for example, shall we say, whole foods, in that definition, is a good diet that I think will allow you to flourish, allow you to be healthy, allow you to live a long life, give you everything you need, and help you perform. Good boy. Go on, have a drink. Ah, Wilbur. Oh, Jesus. So why has it taken me so long to start this channel? Well, I kind of alluded to it earlier on, but I've also, I want to cover the mind, the body and whole foods on my channel. That's what the sort of thing you're going to expect. But it's taken me a long time to, pluck up the courage to start talking about the last 5 years of my life and what's happened to me. So I believe now I'm in a very good place. I'm 34 years old. I'm happily married. I've got a beautiful baby boy with my wife called Arthur. I've also got an amazing little dog who is really our first son, and he is 7 years old. Wilbur, not in there. Oh, Jesus, Will. So he's like our firstborn. And honestly, I've never been happier. Life's great. Even though there's madness going on in the world with all this COVID stuff, which is crazy and no one saw it coming, right? But I've honestly never been happier. But it hasn't always been like that. What's that, Will? Really, I've not always been as happy. About 5 years ago, I was, about 4 years ago, I reckon. Yeah, I was working in another job. I worked very hard to get the position I was at. I thought that was, my career, my future. And then we went through a big wave of redundancies, and I did what I could to keep my job. I went abroad for 8-9 months to show my commitment to the company. I went to Korea, and it was a lovely place. It was amazing, great experience. But to add to the stress, I was trying to organise a wedding overseas, back in the UK with my wife. And when I came back just before March 2016, we did all the fiddly bits, the nice finishings, had a lovely wedding. It was amazing. I thought finally we're going to be back to normality. But shortly after our honeymoon, the company told us we were going to relocate to London. So please, you have to choose whether to stay with the company or take a redundancy package. And of course, I've been at this company a while, done my best to get where I had, and so I bet the devil I stayed with the guys and stayed on. Now fast forward 18 months later, I'm not in a good way. I don't have any time for my wife, I don't have any time for myself. The commute is eating into my day too much, and gradually worn myself down to the bone, so to speak, and I started getting physically ill. I went for blood tests, and I thought that I had something wrong with me. Your brain starts to think all of these horrible thoughts, but all the blood tests came back that I was healthy generally in my physical self. But it wasn't until I started having sickness and diarrhea and all these other strange symptoms like gas, acid reflux, I couldn't put any weight on, losing weight in fact. I went to the doctor again, and he said, "Are you stressed?" And I sort of said, "No, as much as the next person." He gave me a questionnaire to do, and I filled it out, and lo and behold, out of this simple 10 question questionnaire, he diagnosed me with depression. And I was like, wow. And right there and then he offered me some antidepressants, and I thought, no thanks, that's for people that are really depressed, so to speak. And but it was then I realised that all my health issues weren't because of other things, but because of stress. And I'll do another video about this, but I didn't realise how much it could physically affect someone, especially someone that I consider myself healthy. I eat a good diet, I exercise regularly. But the thing was, I didn't look after my head, and I let everything get to me too much. I bottled it up, just kept it down, and people our age, I thought, specifically men, are supposed to just get on with these things, burn the candle at both ends. You've got to pay your dues to get somewhere in life, be it at the expense of your health as well. So I kind of broke down in front of the doctor and said, yeah, I think you're right, but I didn't take the meds. I just being told that this was I was going through this was enough for me to realise that I needed to make a change. So I resigned from my company. Luckily I had the support of my wife, and she said, look, I don't want you being like this, so do what you need to do to get out of this situation. With her support, got dog for a thing in my back pocket now. So with her support, I resigned without another job lined up. But it was honestly the best thing I'd ever done, because I was at the point in my life where I was cycling to the train station every day, try and get a little bit of exercise, and I realised one day these strange thoughts started creeping in my head, like, wouldn't it be weird if I just didn't come home one day? What would people think? Or one day, would it matter if I just accidentally stepped off these train tracks, or cycled in front of a big truck or something? And it sounds mad to talk about it like that now, but that's exactly the way I felt. And then why do I bring this up? Well, because I realise now that depression, anxiety, and all these strange associated thoughts don't just happen overnight. They happen gradually, and it's a descent down a very dark path that I didn't see coming, because I thought I was a happy, healthy guy. But I wanted to share my thoughts to open up a bit of a rapport with other people, maybe feeling like I was back then, to get them to discuss their feelings with friends, family, or maybe even me. Just put me a message into the chat and I'll contact you and we can talk about it, because it's expected that men, perhaps men of my age as well, and older or younger, and just men in general, I think they're supposed to just be bulletproof and be able to just deal with these things, take them on the chin, man up, all these expressions that come from being a guy. But it shouldn't be like that. It should be, if you feel like I did, then talk about it before it gets worse, because I was finding, I'm generally a talkative kind of guy, as anyone that knows me will tell you, but if you bottle these things up, you get worse. And I was kind of, when I was walking the dog, taking separate ways to not see people, not talk to people, because I really didn't want to say, when asked the question, how you doing, I'd always feign that I was doing all right, but really I wasn't doing all right. They'd ask me, how are you doing? I'd be like, yeah, great, yeah, how are you? Change the subject. And really I wanted to say, help, I don't know what's wrong with me, I can't sleep, I can't gain weight, I feel terrible, and all I would do is worry about work and how bad I'm doing at other things. Just wrong, right? So yeah, that's the aim of this channel, is to make that more of a less of a taboo subject to talk about, and not just talk about mental health, but maybe share some of the tips that I found over the last few years of being a dad, life hacks with diet and exercise, all these things that I think, if it slightly helps someone, then it's worthwhile to be. And if it helps no one, and no one watches this, then this is just a cathartic process that I need to do for myself. But hopefully I'll get through to someone, and you could argue then my job's done. So guys, if you found any of this useful, or you think you might find it useful, or you can just relate, then maybe like or subscribe, because I think it'll build the channel. And if you didn't, then dislike, I don't care, but come back again, because you might find something else helpful or interesting to you in the future. Well, that's it. That's all I've got to say. YouTube done. How do you end these things? Like, peace. Me again. Several hours have passed since I've filmed the first part of the video, and I'm kind of checking back in, because I was out earlier on with my wife, and we found a brilliant mural / graffiti that summed up the video really well. I thought that's really random and fortuitous, so I'm going to probably use it as a thumbnail. I know I said I didn't need that stuff, but if it comes to you, then you're going to use it, right? So, yeah, if it's there, then that's the thumbnail I'm using. And it's cool, and you'll see why it sums up what I was talking about. But if it's not, then this is pointless, and I don't know why I'm filming it. But also, I've listened back to the stuff I've recorded, and it sounds really weird. I think it's to do with the selfie stick kind of thing I was using, so I apologise, but yeah, I ain't got time to polish a turd. You guys can just have the turd. So that's it. That's where the thumbnail come from. And by the way, it's a nice evening. Look at this. Gorgeous, right?